this is going to give you a bread like this.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Okay. So this is the bread that I normally make. Like this sandwich bread.
I love it. Yeah. Sorry.
And it's very dense, so that means that you need one piece and you're really full. I mean, this is really like a nutritious bread.
Yeah.
So I'm going to show you the recipe or around the recipe that would make this kind of bread, okay? Okay, but this is the most important part of this thing, okay? So, sourdough is alive, and that's why it's so much easier to digest than this dried yeast. It is alive. It has this culture just like a yogurt. So your body, your stomach acids do not have to work at all to get it through. So that's why this is so much better and so much easier to digest and so much healthier than a yeast bread. So this is always alive. So you have to think of this as like it's your pet. Okay, so you would want to treat this like one of the dogs or your cat. Okay, you can't forget about it forever. You have to feed it. Okay, and this gets fed once a week. All right. Now, if you go on vacation and you don't feed it for 3 weeks, it's going to be alive. You just might have to kind of bring it back to life again. You know, maybe feed it a couple times before it has the power that it had before you left. Rye is the most powerful food, but a lot of people keep wheat sourdough. So it can eat both. It can eat any flour, okay? It just needs flour and water to eat. That's it.
Okay.
I use rye because first of all, I received a rye sourdough. So I just keep it going with rye, but I could switch that to wheat anytime I want. A bread from starting, from taking it out of here to making a full bread is gonna be at least 24 hours. So we can't do this all in the workshop. So I've done a couple things beforehand so that I can show you the different stages, okay? But for right now, we're gonna pretend like we're starting from scratch, okay?
Right.
So this is in the refrigerator. I keep this in the refrigerator, okay? So I'm going to take my sourdough starter and I just want everyone to smell it so that you get familiar with how it should smell. You can see that it's really alive.
Do you shake it? Or
I don't shake it, but you can see that it's alive.
Yeah.
And you can see all these bubbles and you can see the consistency. It's kind of like hummus or something like that, you know, maybe. Mm-hmm. And this has already eaten, okay? It takes 12 hours to eat. All right, so a feed takes 12 hours.
Yesterday.
I fed it yesterday. So basically what we're gonna do is we're going to make a bread, let's say in this bowl, okay? You only need about 1 tablespoon left in your starter
Okay, yeah.
before the feed, okay?
Right.
So you don't need that much.
So you'll feed this again today, will you, or later?
We're gonna feed it right now.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna put some in here for Natalie. And I'm going to put some in here for Anna, this little mini. Let's see if she can get it through the airport.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now, it's very important because this is going to grow. This is going to double in size. Okay? So, like yesterday, when I put this in the refrigerator after 12 hours, it was all the way up to here.
Wow.
Okay? So it should double in size. That means it's at its peak of strength. And that's when you want to put it in the refrigerator. And that's about 12 hours. And again,
so you leave it out until
you
it's
leave it
doubled.
outside in room temperature, and in this heat, it goes faster.
Yeah.
And that's another thing about this sourdough. If it's summer, your breads are going to rise way faster, and your sourdough is going to eat way faster. In the winter, it's going to take longer, right? And usually in the winter, I'll just put my starter and my bread right next to the fire, like right next to the pechka, so that it has enough heat.
On top of it.
No, not on top, because then you're going to get it cooked.
It's gonna be too hot.
Yeah, you don't want that.
Yeah.
But you want it to be room temperature or warmer, like around 35 degrees is great, right? It's fine.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. It's perfect right
Every
now.
day here.
Yes, exactly. So basically, I'm going to leave about this much, and this is even a lot. I'm going to give a little bit more to Natalie. Okay, so check this out. This is barely anything.
Okay, yeah, just covering the bottom, really.
And the rest you put in here to make your new bread. Okay, so this is going to be the base for our new bread. We take the starter, okay, and we need to feed the starter. But at the same time, we're also going to feed our new bread, okay? So we're going to fill this with rye, And I'll give you my other rice. Sorry, Natalie, I'm using yours.
Don't worry.
We're gonna fill this so that we want it to be about halfway with rye, okay? And we're gonna do this here. Okay, so basically you want to feed what you just put for your new bread as well. So I'm also gonna add some rye. Now, what we're gonna do is first we're gonna take our main starter, all right? And this is what I keep. This is my baby, all right? So we can just name this Julia, all right? And we just wanna make try to get the same consistency that we had before. It's much better to add a little bit of water at a time.
Yeah.
Because now look, yours is over half, which means when it feeds, it's gonna explode and go outside. You're gonna close it. Now, if you walk through the kitchen, you're probably gonna hear because it's feeding and it's eating, right? So it's alive. So don't be surprised if there's a ghost of your sourdough. Now look at this. See how I have some of this? Look, I stirred, but I still have all this. I don't want that. So I'm gonna put that in and make sure that's stirred in. You don't want a bunch of clumps. Okay, so our starters are done and we're gonna put these to the side and we're just gonna watch them eat. All right. And you know, it's really nice to name your sourdough just because of the same reason like a pet. You really want to have an actual relationship with this because you're making your own sustenance from it. So I recommend to name it because then you have this fondness, like it's an actual relationship because this is alive and it's gonna feed you. So it's your friend. So we got our starters and that's the most important thing. Keeping the starter healthy is the most important aspect to having sourdough breads, okay? So your friend is safe, she's eating, she's not hungry, and for 12 hours, she's just gonna enjoy eating, okay? So you have to teach yourself and it how to work with you. So you're gonna have some trying times and you're gonna have some ugly loaves. But it's okay.
But they'll be edible.
They'll be edible, exactly.
That's all right.
So I'm just saying, don't have super high expectations that you're gonna have like bakery looking loaves in the first couple months.
Expect some weird photos then.
Exactly. Please send photos. Okay, so now we're going to make our starter for our bread tomorrow, okay? So tomorrow, after 24 hours, I'm gonna add some rye here, or whole wheat, okay? First, I'm gonna add rye to this one, and I'm gonna add a little bit of water, okay?
Wait.
Okay. And the thing is, for a big bread, like a big loaf like I make, like a family loaf that's gonna last me a week, this is about how big my starter would be.
Wow.
Okay? So I add almost all of my jar, only leaving about a tablespoon like we just did.
Yeah.
And then I'll add about, I don't know, 2 handfuls of flour. I'm gonna show you that if tomorrow I wanna make a white bread, okay? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put my starter, same thing, I'm gonna put it in here, and I'm gonna feed it with white flour.
Oh, so that's just standard white flour.
Okay.
So the orange is white flour.
This is bio. Again, you can use any, but I prefer to do the best quality. Okay. So, because I'm gonna make a white bread, I'm gonna use white flour to start my bread. Okay? So see the difference? Okay. And it's gonna feed, and then we can make a white bread out of it tomorrow. Okay? So this is what you would do 24 hours in advance. So we have this starter for our whole grain bread that we're gonna make tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So we're gonna cover this with a clean towel. All right? And because we're leaving it for 24 hours, a towel is not enough to keep all of the air out of it because it's such a long time. So I always would put a plate or something over, and we're gonna leave this for 24 hours. And then tomorrow morning, we're gonna come back to this and we're going to do it. We're gonna start our bread. This is the morning, okay? So in the morning, we've let our whole wheat bread feed for 24 hours, okay? And now it's ready to make the bread, okay? I prefer to leave it 24 hours. Some people don't even leave it 24 hours. This is what I do. Sometimes I leave it 48 hours. Because the
you can leave it longer.
You can leave it longer. The longer you leave it, the more sour it's going to be. And some people really like this soury sourdough. Yeah. So you could probably leave for 4 days if you want, or a week, and get it really, really sour. Again, you have to get to know it. You have to see what you like and what you feel, because sometimes, like in the summer, I've left it for 48 and I make the bread and I'm like, I don't like this. But someone who likes really sour sourdough would be like, this is amazing.
Yeah, I'm probably not.
Okay, right. So I think this might be better for you. So the least, so I would say the minimum, honestly, you don't even need a minimum. If we did it like this, if you don't like super soury sourdough, you don't have to leave it overnight. You can just start it and do 1 hour.
Okay.
Really.
Right.
Okay. So let's say that's what you did. All right, so we did our starter. You covered it with a towel. You left it for 1 hour, okay? And now we're ready to make our bread, okay? So we're going to add, some oats, okay? Like this, all right? And again, this is all intuitive. And proso millet, I really like this because it stays a little bit crunchy. We're just going to add a little bit of this, okay? And we're just going to put in whatever we want, okay? A little bit of this, a little bit of that. Buckwheat, delicious. Throw it in. All right, and any grain you have, like a few quinoas, great, why not? Okay, and you can add anything, any kind of seeds, really, nuts. You can also do nuts. Some people would put hazelnuts in their bread at this point.
What are they?
Sunflower seeds.
Oh, yeah.
Then we have flax seeds.
So I could put some of the chia seeds in there.
Sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure, you can put whatever seeds you want, and whatever nuts. Amaranth.
Is that couscous?
This is amaranth.
Amaranth.
Couscous I would not use because that's not actually a grain, it's a pasta.
Okay.
And then let's put some pumpkin seeds. Okay. So, again, the great thing about this is these are things that you might keep in your kitchen anyway, all the time. Like if you're cooking at home, you're going to be keeping some of these things anyway, so you can just throw in whatever you want. Also, at this point, you can throw in dried fruits, you can throw in herbs, you can throw in nuts, whatever you want.
Oh yeah, garlic.
Garlic, the only thing with garlic is
bread, not
yeah, but even if you do want garlic in your bread, garlic and onions are really powerful prebiotics, which means they can affect the culture of the bread. So if I'm going to add garlic or onion into my bread, I always do it at the last stage. And also, oftentimes, I will do a mix of like whole wheat and buckwheat flour, or whole wheat and something else. Like they also sell like flax flour. You can put all different types of flour in at this point, okay? But for this purpose right now, we're going to make a whole wheat bread, okay? So we're going to add our flour. Yep, a lot. We're going to make a nice, good sized loaf. Keep going, keep going, keep going. All right, that should be good. Okay, so I'm also going to add a little bit of honey just for taste. Not necessary, but I like there to be a little bit of honey in the bread. So we're going to add about a tablespoon of honey and a little bit of oil. Okay, again, you do not have to put oil in, but I just like that it gives it a little bit of a smoother texture. And again, you don't need to put a lot in. Just like, some. Now, remember, too much, you don't want too much flour, but we haven't put the water in yet. So now we're going to add the water so that it's sticky, not wet. And at this stage, and since Natalie's doing this herself, yes, I would recommend to go around the sides every time you're stirring. Don't stir in the middle only. Try to get it all stirring at one time. You're going to make sure that nothing is on the sides that's not connected. Remember, that's very important. Yeah. And you're going to take your finger and you're going to clean the spoon and get all of the dough together. Yep.
Believe it or not, I have just had a shower, but look at the state of mine.
It's fine. Nobody's judging you. Perfect. So, yep, get it all on there. Don't waste anything. Perfect. I hate wasting.
Me too.
Yeah,
Me too.
Okay.
Me too.
Nice. And we're going to cover this with a towel and put it to the side for 1 hour or half hour,
So,
depending.
wait. This is the stage 2?
This is stage 2.
Okay, wait.
I made almost the exact same thing over an hour ago. All right.
Okay.
So this is what it's going to, this is now an hour later after stage 2, and we're going to do stage 3. Okay. So it is extremely important that you use plenty of flour on your bread board. Okay. So honestly, ideally it's wood, and you want a thick enough amount of flour that no dough is going to touch the table. Okay. Because it's going to stick. All right. So I use white flour for this. You can also use whole wheat if you want, but I find that using white flour makes a nicer textured bread, and I'm not afraid of white flour, so it's totally fine. So what I do here is, now you see this is sticky, not wet, and we're gonna pour this, we're gonna take a lot of flour in our hand, and we're gonna just get all this on the board, and we wanna make sure that none of it is going outside of the flour that we made. Look, okay? Now, I don't wanna waste any of this. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a handful of flour in here, and I'm gonna use this flour to get all this other stuff off, all right? Okay, so notice this, guys. See how I got all these crusties out of the bowl?
Yeah.
I want to put those in the center of the bread, okay? So also I'm going to take the flour, and I just want to get all these crusties off my hands. I don't want to waste any of this, all right? This is all bread. So we want to get all these crusties off if we can. And I'm just going to take a little bit more flour and just get the rest. And look what I'm doing here. I'm just taking the flour and crusting. And this is also where an apron really comes in handy, because you can put it up against your belly and really get everything. Okay, now it's okay if you waste a little bit, but again, I'm a little bit of a crazy about this, so I try not to waste anything, and put it in the center of the bread. Now, this is the maestra stuff right here, okay? So I want to try to get it that my fingers are not touching any of the wet dough, okay? But we want to try to make a ball out of this blob. Okay, so this is the hardest stage. Right here is the hardest stage. So I'm going to take my fingers and I'm going to put them in the flour, and I'm going to fold really fast into the center. Okay? See what I'm doing here?
Yeah.
This is, see? Oh, look, and it moves. So then we got to move fast. We're going to keep putting this into the center, and if you need more flour on your hands, then just grab it. So we're going to keep taking this and putting it into the center until we make a ball. Okay. See how we're adding a lot of flour here, and that's why we don't want to add too much flour, because then you're going to have this dry, gross bread with no air. Okay, so see now, after about, 5 rounds of folds, I have like more of a ball. Okay, less of a blob.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna bring this flour in, all right, because we made a little bit of a mess. And any crusties you have right now, I want you to get these back in the center, okay? Okay? So any crusties you have, put them back in the center, and then make one more main fold. With the sourdough and any kneading, you are always folding into the center, because you're imagining that there's a spot on the bottom of this that you're going towards, okay? So we're going to make one more fold. Look how much easier it is to fold now that we have all that flour.
Yeah.
Okay? We're going to fold into the center.
So you don't fold it too much.
No. Just so that you make a ball. Okay? Then I'm going to get a little bit more flour in my hands, and I'm going to flip this baby. Okay? So now, see this spot that was at the bottom?
Yeah.
How there's no cracks. And that's what we want. Okay? Now, this is going to grow, but we're going to leave it on the counter, all right? Because now this is our station. This is our bread making station. And probably 30 minutes in this instance. Okay. Take whatever bread pan, and it doesn't need to be a loaf pan. It can just be a tray if you want, okay? Or this is perfect, okay? But it can also just be a tray if you want, and maybe it'll go out a little bit more, but it's okay. You can also do You can use whatever you want,
Okay.
But make sure that it's completely oiled, okay? And you also want to do oil over the top because sometimes
Right,
it
yeah.
grows, and then if you don't oil the top, then it sticks. All right, so we're going to do same thing here. We're going to fold into the center. Try not to get your hands sticky. And look, what a nice loaf we have here, okay? No sticks, no sticks. All right, then we're gonna keep folding towards the center. Maybe we're gonna do three folds, 3 rounds. Okay, then we're gonna flip, and this is the final. So make sure you have plenty of flour. And we're just going to caress the bottom, and we're gonna stretch the top a little bit. Okay, we don't want it to break, but we want it to be nice and stretched. Okay? So we're just gonna caress and tuck under.
Oh, that's how you get that bit in the
Uh-huh,
middle.
see?
Yeah.
Okay, caress and tuck.
So caress the bread.
Caress and tuck. And then make sure you have plenty of flour. And you're just gonna pinch the bottom and press it in. Okay? There you go. Press it in. Now, we're gonna leave this another half hour to rise in the container. Okay? So after we also cover it with a towel, we're gonna let it rise in the container. And after a half hour, we're going to make a slit in the bread. And we're gonna go pretty deep down, more than halfway through. We're gonna make a nice air slit so that the air comes out evenly. And we're gonna bake on 250 for 20 minutes. And then we're gonna turn down the heat to 220 and bake for another 20 minutes. So we will have some pictures of both of those stages later.
So
Thank you.
bake for 200.
Sourdough bread, you need water in the oven. You need steam, okay? Because that's what makes the crust really crispy crust.
Right.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our bread that's been, oh look, it's grown so much. Look at that,
Wow.
beautiful, okay? We're gonna take a sharp knife and we're gonna go all the way to the bottom. Okay? So that's for the air. Now watch out, we're on 250 here. We're gonna put in the bread quickly, and then I have a little receptacle and then close it. Okay, so now we're gonna do 20 minutes on 250, and there we go. Then we're gonna turn it down to 220 after 20 minutes.